I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Welcome. All righty. Let's start with approval of minutes for our November 4th meeting. After the motion.
Yeah.
Second, any changes to the minutes? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Let's scoot right through our resolutions today. HS1 is a resolution authorizing budgetary modification, Department of Social Services, admin chargeback expenses. This is a request to transfer $30,000 from underspent salaries and wages to other supplies and expenses chargeback budget line to ensure that chargeback expenses can be paid. I'll look for motion. That's one. Motion and a second. Does anybody have any questions? Oh, these are expenses that New York State incurs on our behalf that are then taken back. Is that the idea?
That's correct. It would be our share of those expenses, because they're for all the districts, like the expenses for, say, providing the EBIX cards that our clients use to access benefits. They have that contract with that provider, and then they spread the costs of that across all the districts.
So how does that create the decrease in federal reimbursement and state reimbursement?
It would, because we will be short money in that budget line, and if I take money out of the salaries and wages currently have a reimbursement of 50% federal, 25% state.
Okay.
But the chargeback won't have any reimbursement.
Any other questions? Kevin, you look perplexed.
Nope.
Okay, good. All right, I won't read into that look anymore. All right, then all those in favor? Any opposed? Thank you. HS2 is a resolution authorizing budget modification, Department of Social Services, Adult and Family Services, mileage reimbursement. So this is a budget mod requested to transfer $70,000 from underspent salaries and wages to the mileage reimbursement budget line to ensure that mileage expenses for 2024 continue to be paid. Any free motion to discuss? Yeah, motion. Second.
Now we're getting vehicles for this for next year. This shouldn't be. Or this is still going to be an expense next year.
No, so the vehicles that we got didn't come, they were expected, so when they did this budget last year, it was expected they'd get them sooner. We didn't get them until September. So I expect that by the end of the first quarter of next year, we should start to see a decline in mileage, if not sooner, only because we are now kind of monitoring the use of the vehicles, where staff, looking at the assignments, making sure that staff are utilizing the company vehicles rather than their personal vehicles.
Sounds good. Any other questions? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Thank you. HS3 is a resolution authorizing budget modification, Department of Social Services, Adult and Family Services, residential domestic violence expenses. This budget modification is a transfer of $45,000 from underspent salaries and wages to the other supplies and expenses RESDV budget line to ensure that residential domestic violence expenses for 24 can be continued to be paid. I'll look for a motion on this to discuss.
Motion.
Second. Questions?
Yeah, this is something that's implemented by the state that we have to have. And if we take it, are some of these the positions that we're eliminating next year, Phil? The spots that were vacant for so long, we taken out of the 25 budget?
We took a few out, yes. But these are also, this money's coming from vacant positions that are vacant. Not all vacant positions were taken, just ones that had been around for a long time. So we still have vacancy savings if somebody leaves, 3 months ago.
I mean, the chart is kind of crazy, where we had in 2020 only like $1,600, but in 2023 it's $150,000. Why does it change so much year to year? Is there any?
In 2019, the state, there was a change to the Social Security law, and the state implemented where all the districts are obligated to provide funding for domestic violence residential services, like through OCO, Safe House and such. But we cannot force those clients or those victims to apply for cash assistance. We can't even force them to sign a release of information to give us their name. So the Safe House, in many instances, sends over billings that don't have a name on them, and we have to pay those according to the state. So the funding that we use is Title 20, and once we're over that allocation, our funding drops severely down to 49%.
Well, because it was so high last year, what did we budget? We know what we budgeted last year.
I don't know off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Who runs the safe house? Is that through us or is that a private company?
It could be a multiple safe houses. It could be like Vera House. It could be in other counties. It could be OCO, Safe House.
So if this comes with no name, there's no...
OCO, I mean, the Safe House knows their name and all that.
No, right, but I'm saying as far as the billing, I'm saying that they could be billing.
And the state is supposed to be monitoring that. They're supposed to assign a number to each client whose information is not passed through to us, and the state is supposed to monitor that the agencies that are providing these numbers to us are indeed providing those services.
Any other questions? For a vote, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. It is forward resolution authorizing budgetary modification, Department of Social Services, Adult and Family Services preventive contracts. So budget mod transfer 25,000 from underspent salaries and wages to other supplies and expenses, econ budget line, to ensure that services, protective and preventive services, contract expenses for 2024 continue to be paid. I'll look for a motion to discuss.
Motion.
Second. So this is just one contractor that had some issues with keeping track of things?
There was the one contract that was underbilling us. That particular vendor then went back and billed us the full amount back to January. So as I was projecting throughout the year what the total cost was going to be in this budget line, it wasn't accurate.
Go ahead. Do we know what they were not billing for?
Yes, it was approximately,
No, not the amount, but the
Oh.
service. The memo says that they weren't billing the full amount of their contract, but they were incurring the full amount of the expenses. What expenses did they forget to bill us for?
my understanding is that they incur the full amount of the expenses, more than what our contract actually pays them.
Mm-hmm.
And they were billing at the old contract amount because they know that there's a limit to what we're going to pay them.
Mhm.
They take that contract amount, they break it out into 12 months, and they bill us that amount. So they were billing us last year's amount.
Oh.
Any other questions? All those in favor? Go ahead, Irv. Sorry.
I guess my problem was, what are we gonna do if we run out of money on the adult and family services salary? We're always taking money out of that. I mean, I don't understand how we keep taking money out of us.
We don't take it out unless there's been a projection forward that the money's there, that we're not going to run. That there's enough vacancies to cover.
So what happens if we fill all the vacancy?
Well, then these budget lines will have to go up the following year.
Well, this one would have already been budgeted to this
Yeah.
amount. But I see what you're saying, see what you're saying, Herb, it's just, we just,
Or if we eliminate those positions, don't have the money in the budget, then we can have that money next year with the back.
all those in favor? Any opposed? HS5 is a resolution authorizing budget modification, Department of Social Services, Safety Net for their supplies and expenses. This is a budget mod request for transfer of $650,000 from underspent SS admin salaries and wages to the Safety Net for their supplies and expenses budget line to ensure that Safety Net expenses can continue to be paid. I will look for a motion to discuss. Herb and Frank. Can you talk a little bit about this one? Awful lot of money.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
So the safety net program is the cash assistance program we provide to single and childless couples. And the reimbursement rate for this program from the state is only 21% of a dollar. So locally we're paying, or 29, locally we pay 71%. So our safety net caseload active has actually gone down a little, but our homeless numbers have gone up 53% since last year. When people are in temporary housing, the length of stay has also extended by, it was 49 days last year as an average for somebody to be homeless. This year, it went up to 75 days average.
Where are they staying on temporary? Still motels?
We have 2 certified shelters in the county that house 18 men and 8 women. The rest are still hotel motels because we have not had any other certified shelters been approved within the community. The lack of affordable permanent housing in our county requires that people stay in temporary housing longer than they ever had to in the past, which increases your safety net budget because the majority of those households are single childless couples. When they're in a hotel, we're required by regulation to pay the full amount. So for example, if I'm paying $700 a week for somebody in a hotel, that's $2,800 a month that's being paid for that individual. When they go into permanent housing, their entire grant is about $400 a month. So lack of support of permanent affordable housing within our community is creating increase in homelessness because people can't afford to move into permanent housing, which means they're staying in hotel motels longer.
You know what also? You guys pay $360 a month for a bedroom. That hasn't been increased in a long time.
Correct. That's
And
the
you're not
state.
in the bedroom for $360.
You're absolutely
You're
right.
paying $700 a week in a hotel.
Yep, and that's the
Some
state.
rooms open, but I won't take $360.
Yep, you're absolutely right. And we advocate at the state level to increase the shelter allowance. So the basic shelter allowance right now for a single person is $183 a month. And we have been advocating from the district at the state level to increase that. They choose not to. One of the arguments I make consistently is that they incentivize being homeless by allowing people to stay in hotels at a higher rate and not increasing their permanent shelter allowance so that we can move them into stable housing sooner. So that unfortunately falls onto your districts because the state also mandates that we pay 71% of that dollar, where in the past it used to be 50-50. So these are just state mandates that we end up paying for, unfortunately.
And the safety net kicks in after someone's already been on services for 5 years,
Safety net is immediate for single childless couples.
immediate for single child.
Correct. It kicks in after a family has been on for 5 years. So the state of New York has opted to provide ongoing assistance to families after 5 years. That's when we stop receiving federal reimbursement for them.
All those in favor? Any opposed? Thank you. So, resolution, HS6, resolution awarding professional services contract, RFP 24, DSS 008, Department of Social Services, to purchase preventive services.
This is the one that your table.
Oh, okay, yeah, this is the one we're gonna, full, but, we'd like to, have a motion to, extend this for 3 months. So I'll make a motion to extend the current contract. We're looking for a second. And then can you explain for us, again, why this is happening?
So there was an increase in the amount of $355,000 from the previous year based on the scope of work in the RFP that was put out. It did not identify certain aspects like a behavior specialist position and added workers or additional families, that 30 additional families were not in the scope of work, but were in the bid of this particular provider. And so we would like to update the scope of work and be able to impose a cap on this RFP, because both providers that submitted, one would have been $600,000 more and this one was $355,000. So I think we need to go back and revisit this RFP and look at the scope of work and look at the need for the services and make sure it clarifies that before accepting it.
Does anybody have any questions then about extending it for 3 months? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 7 is a resolution awarding professional services.
Excuse me, I just had another thought. So the current proposals are not going to be acceptable.
That's correct.
Okay, so a second motion is needed for the committee to reject all proposals.
Okay. I'll make that motion. Got Jim Krasick to second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
So,
So that's why you're. All right, so back to HS 7, the professional services contract RFP 24 MH 004 Suicide Prevention Coalition Coordinator. This is a renewal of a previous award. Division of Mental Hygiene recommends an award of 12-month contract to Farnham for $84,715.13. Plus one-time startup expenses that go back to. I'll look for a motion to discuss. A second. Go ahead, everything. Here you go.
No.
Okay. Questions about the RFP, or if you want to mention anything about this, Nicole?
Sure, so this is a renewal from the original RFP that was awarded to Farnham. The purpose of this is to have them provide staffing to facilitate and coordinate the Suicide Prevention Coalition for Oswego County. They've been doing it for 5 years very successfully, with the exception of they've had some difficulty obtaining the prevention coordinator staffing, which results in their request for some additional funding in this proposal. There's a 5% increase over currently funded at, and that's primarily salary and fringe increases to help facilitate some retention in that position.
Questions for Nicole? All those in favor? Any opposed? HS 8 was a resolution authorizing the execution of a lease with Catholic Charities of Oswego County, 808 Broadway, Fulton, New York. I'll look for a motion to discuss. Okay. So we talked about this a little bit at the last meeting. Now this is here in front of us. Does anybody have any questions about the lease or need more?
Yeah, what is this, what is it used for? And then if you want to have a hearing,
Lease is going to be for the mental hygiene division to lease the space that's within the Catholic Charities building. We will be using that space to list it in RFPs to purchase equipment to be provided in that space. Leveraging that space gives us some control over where the services are provided. Fulton is a community that could use some additional supports and services. Also, services provided there, participants will be able to leverage the services already in place and available to the community at the cafeterias building. So it results in it's a budget neutral opportunity for us as we will, in any contract we will be awarding from an RFP to provide services there. We would not be including occupancy costs in that contract budget.
And did we end up, was this included in the budget for next year?
No, for next year.
It's for next year.
Was it included in the budget for next year?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, just making sure, sorry.
And the lease, I worked with County Attorney Rich Mitchell on the lease. So it meets his approval.
Standards.
Any other questions? All those in favor? Any opposed? Just not in the resolution authorizing budgetary mod. Accept funding from the Alzheimer's Association of CNY for the Office of the Aging. Stand up for senior. All up for motion. Move to second to discuss. All right, got a first and second. So this is received a $2,332.93 from the Alzheimer's Association of CNY to purchase Christmas gifts for some older residents. Sorry, mention anything more about that, or just?
No. The association does have funding. They were gifted money from a couple in Oswego County, and they have to utilize it on services in Oswego County, and we're taking advantage of that to be able to provide some gifts to seniors through our Stand Up for Seniors program. It'll be just small bag gifts as part of what we're doing to the senior apartment buildings. And it won't be the bigger gifts that individuals are receiving, but it'll be kind of blanket distribution to different to apartment buildings throughout the county.
Any questions? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? A couple of guests, we're gonna ask to speak just for a minute, just to maybe go over your Imagination Library numbers. A really impressive program. It's not on the agenda, but as chair, I'm slipping it in since they're here. Would you like to stand up and talk about it for a second, introduce yourselves?
Hi, I'm Andrew Azidio, the program coordinator for Oswego County.
Member of the Imagination Committee.
I'm a member of the Literacy Coalition of Oswego County as well. We submitted a budget request of $48,300 from the county to help support the program. The program has been serving the county since November of 2018. You can see some of these numbers here. We started off with only 33 kids in the program, and it's now up to about 3,400 currently signed up and receiving books. We've had just over 7,000 participate, and already 3,200 kids graduate from the program. Graduation age that they're 5 years old and no longer receive a book. The program was launched and started and was sustained by an AEI grant of $250,000. That was back in 2019, $50,000 a year over 5 years, but that funding has run out. So the program, we've been working hard to find sustainable funding, to find grants, to get donors, organizations who are looking to support the program. So our application goal was to receive about 50% of funding for just to pay for the books to maintain this program for the next year.
I would just like to add that in 2018, when this program was started locally, it was focused on the Oswego County's long-range plan, and the goal was to raise reading levels at the 3rd grade level and graduation rates. And all kinds of research identifies that a child's life from birth to 5-year-old is when they develop all their richness and interest in reading and conversation. And the program is based on the notion that with this many books in a kid's hand through from birth to 5, that they have a better basis to start school with. And if you've seen any of our monthly reports, we are following that through the school districts by working with them with the first test they give to kindergarten kids when they start school. It's called the letter naming frequency test. Every school district in the county does it. It's a simple test. The kids have an amount of time to correctly read capital and small letters. And then it's standardized with ranges of whether they're in good shape, they'll need some help, or they're way behind. And our data shows that kids who participate through Imagination Library, more of them score in the most positive range, more of them score in the middle range, and fewer score in the remediation range, if that makes sense, if I said it the right way. So we're getting a stronger start with the opportunity for fewer kids to need remediation as they go through school. So.
I was a member of the Alliance for Economic Inclusion. That's what the AEI is. And Tim Stahl and I served on that. It was a 5-county committee created to help disperse $30 million across 5 counties. And this is one of the most impressive programs that we've helped fund from its inception. So is this an amount of money we're potentially looking at with ARPA funding?
It would not be ARPA funding, but we could look at it. It could be considered when the budget is debated on the 12th.
Oh, okay. There has been, so there are a handful of legislators who know a little bit more about it. It is really impressive. I've seen some of the numbers, talking to the deputy superintendent of BOCES, that it looks like our numbers are starting to go up for 3rd grade reading ability, and that's really key to kids being able to graduate. So I'm certainly behind it, and we'll see what we can do at our next meeting to get that done. Does anybody have any questions for them about the program? Super program. All right. Let's get to, thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
And get to our reporting committees. We're going to start with City County Youth Bureau Program and Department updates.
All right. I have some handouts to give to you for some upcoming events. We have a Hannibal Christmas party coming up in December 6th. That's there. We are partnering with the Fulton Special Events Committee to do a free family Christmas party, also coming up in December 14th. And then we have another event called Bivouac, and that is at Camp House, which is a temporary camp. On December 23rd and 24th, we're going to be running a camp out at Camp House. As you're aware, we winterize the camp, so we have the opportunity to use them year-round. So we are starting to see some different things happening, and that will be an event upcoming as well. So just wanted to share that. Quickly, some things that we've done recently or that we're currently working on. We were partners in the city of Oswego on the tree lighting this past weekend. There was over 700 youth who submitted coloring contests that went through 3K through 6. And we also had over 400 kids visit Santa-Thons on Saturday at City Hall. We partnered with City of Oswego. We're partnering with City of Oswego on multiple different sporting events coming up. We have the Laker Hockey Night on November 22nd. We gave out 115 free wristbands for kids to attend the Laker Hockey game. Our staff participated in puck drop with the mayor of the city of Oswego as well. Legends is closed through the season. Highway and D&D has assisted with that. Last month I talked to you about a new shed that we received, and we've been able to put a lot of the extra turf and different things to maintain it in it, so it's already being utilized. It's good. The new batting cages were ordered. If they come in this year and we have decent weather, we'll start to construct those. If not, that'll happen in the spring. We did submit a CFA that we're waiting on for new safety netting and scoreboards up to the facility. And we're currently working with the grant writers. We're gathering a little information that they need to extend Field 5. One of the things working with the school districts is none of the fields are really big enough for varsity baseball. So we're working with the dimensions. We're getting numbers together to extend that. We're also talking about replacing the lights up there, and we're gathering data. I have a meeting with National Grid later this week to discuss multiple things, including ways that we can work with, on that lighting system. Rest assured, I've advised all staffing that lights are off until May. We'll touch them, they're taped, they're all shut down for the season. So that's basically what we have happening. With Legends, we are seeing, though, Oswego, as you know, signed a contract to use that for next year. They're going to run the first countywide girls softball tournament up there, so all the schools in the state of county will be invited to a kickoff the season tournament. We're working with boys baseball as well, too, but that would most likely be in a JV level or so, depending on field size. Camp Zerby, that's going well, is going good as well. We have the lodging piece has been basically shut down for the season, but the bathhouse is complete, which is good. A final walkthrough will happen this week. The new basketball hoops have been delivered, and they'll go up in the spring. Disc golf, tell me if you haven't heard this one before. The disc golf baskets are on back order. So as soon as they come in, they will be installed. The designer has been out there recently. He's totally satisfied with how things are done. When the baskets come in, he will come back to help install those into the ground. Buildings and Grounds has been working hard with us on that. As I mentioned about Camp House being open year-round, we recently advertised, for holiday parties and things that can happen out there. We are running programming out there, so things are going good with that. Independence Trail and Camp House, both of our ready projects are complete, so those are done. Our Leadership of Student County Youth Program has really taken off this year. We partnered with a few different agencies, and we have 19 students from different high schools who are partaking in the program right now. So things are busy, they're moving along at a good pace, and we're partnering with different agencies as well. I also sit on that committee with the Imagination Library and speak very highly of the hard work and some of the different things that we've seen happening within the youth bureau. So things are good.
Brian? All right, on to Veteran Services Department updates.
So for the VA right now, they are getting more and more backed up, especially due to the PACT Act. We received a notification just last week, as a matter of fact, that the claims that we submit can take up to 40 days just for the VA to process them into the system. So that's adding their 240-day goal. Claims have been taking longer, so we're going to end up getting more phone calls of people wanting to know what's going on with their claims, and that comes straight from the VA itself. The New York State Department of Veteran Services has received funding for more positions. One of those positions they are putting in the Oswego County, or the Oswego Clinic. The VA clinic there, that office, satellite office we use, we won't be able to use that anymore because they're going to have a guy in there full time. It pulls us out of that area, but it provides the veterans with a VSO 5 days a week instead of just every Tuesday. I spoke with the individual in charge of that, and we're going to work very closely with that person. We talked about the amount of people that go through there. One person is not going to be able to handle that, so they're going to funnel people our way. So we're still going to get those veterans out of that area. The other issue with that is 3 positions opened up, one in Oswego, one in Watertown, and one in Syracuse, and both my guys applied. And my understanding is only 3 people were interviewed. So there's a possibility of me losing one or both of my people. The position, I can't blame them. The position doubles their pay, just about. The state pays quite a bit more for VSOs than what the county offers. With one of them's got kids in college and the other one just had a new baby, so they would be fools not to apply. I spoke with the state, and it's going to be another couple weeks before we find out if one of those guys or both of those guys are leaving. So until that happens, we're just going to keep trucking. I'm already in the process of going through all the claims. I'm finding all the ones that are open that they have, so if one guy leaves, I can split those up to 7 of them. And if they both leave, it's nothing I can't handle. I'll take care of it.
Wow.
Yeah, it's not going to be pretty, but I might have to work some extra time.
Well, we can take it out of vacancies, right? Give the overtime. Sorry, I don't know why that was funny. Not saying. Thank you. Any questions for Eric? Okay, up to the AJ. Sarah?
First, I want to say, I thought I had it bad with being down an insurance counselor, being potentially losing 2 staff. I couldn't even imagine, especially in your office. But speaking of insurance counselors, open enrollment ends the end of this week, which we're all applauding in our office. It's been a very rough, difficult season because we did lose one of our counselors right in the middle, or actually it's more towards the beginning of the season. So it made a lot of people frustrated and unhappy that they were unable to get an appointment in our office. We continue to do as much as we can to help and assist as many people as we can. And a lot of people, we did refer to the state office for the aging, and they're assisting them. But again, many people want to come in for a face-to-face, not to do insurance counseling over the phone. So you may hear additional complaints in the community. I know that already some have come in. And like I said, we're doing the best we can to assist as many people as we can in a timely manner. Some people have some additional time because of plans that are ending. So we're still going to be busy after this, when this week ends, because people that we could delay later in the month have been delayed. So
What's the actual date? Is it the 5th?
November 7th.
7th. Okay.
So Santa for Seniors, go back to that. We are taking gifts in now. We initially had it for 50, actually to adopt 50 seniors in the community. We had a cutoff date. We actually have 67 that we are connecting to provide gifts in the community. And like I stated, the senior buildings themselves will get their own little gift bags, separate and apart from the 67 seniors we're assisting. And the reason we limited it to the number of 50 this year is because we still have the space to store gifts to get them out. We are in the process of going through files, downsizing, getting ready for when we move back over to our new space. And my fingers crossed, we're told that it's the end of this month when the construction or reconstruction will be done. I'm saying the middle of January, just because I'm a pessimist in that regard, but we're very excited to be able to move back over there, so we're trying to downsize as much as we can to get over to our new space to make the move seamless. Elizabeth Weimer in our office, she's our caregiver coordinator. She has been invited to speak at Le Moyne College to graduate students about our Santa for Seniors program on December 11th. Their human services class talking about, or they're working on social isolationism. So she's going to speak, and then they're going to be doing making some homemade cards or handmade cards to get her to go out in our Santa for Senior bags. We also And again, Elizabeth is our caregiver coordinator. The state has reached out to us to ask if we could present at the Aging Concerns Unitas Conference in June to talk about our caregiver respite program. It's a voucher program for respite participants or for caregivers, and it's kind of unique. Most other towns don't utilize a voucher system for that program. So we've been invited to go and speak about how it works in our county, to hopefully get other counties, give them the tools if they want to start that type of program in their county. And that's really all that I have.
Any questions for Sarah? Okay.
I did want to say, though, I'm sorry, I don't have it written down here, but I did just want to let you know where we are with the home delivered meal program for this year so far. We haven't received our November bill yet, and because the month just ended, but through October, we provided 219,074 meals. We budgeted for 248,600. On average, the monthly average is a little under 22,000 meals. So I just want to let you know that we will go over our budgeted amount, but we have funding to cover it this year. We do have some ARPA funds left. Our ARPA funds that were supposed to be ending, September 30th, and they gave us another extension. So we have the funding. We have funding in our budget to be able to cover the overage that we'll have this year. But I just wanted to make you aware that is going to be an ongoing trend. So we did budget for more meals in 2025, but I will really have to stay on top of it next year because I'm not sure how much flexibility I'll have with the ARPA funds, if I still have it to cover any overage that we may have.
And just for committee's clarification, you say ARPA funds, you're not talking about the internal county.
Correct.
This is direct funding we're getting from the state.
Right, the State Office for the Aging receives funding for aging services, and they distributed that to all county offices for the aging, separate and apart from any of the county award that we're receiving.
Okay, any questions for Sarah? All right, on to the Department of Social Services.
Freddie's going to start off with the services department stats. Please.
Towards the end of your packet, you will find the stat for child support staff for October 2024. Total caseload as of 10/31/2024 is 5,956. Currently receiving assistance from us is 783 cases. Formally in receipt of assistance, 2,774 cases. Never have received assistance, 2,399. Any questions? Our vacancy rate currently is at 26% for child support, as we have 3 positions open at this time, and we will begin starting interviewing. I think there's some interviews this week. Child support updates. The child support unit has collected $12,271.10 year to date. This is an increase of $482,404 compared to 2023. As of 9/30/2024, 185,140 year-to-date collections have been returned to the county for past assistance reimbursement. Total calendar year collection for 2023 was $207,778. The division is on track to exceed that for the 2024 calendar year. Also, 90% of our collections went directly to families, 9% went to assistance reimbursement, and 1% went to medical support. Any questions on that? Next, we're going to move over to the Services Division. For Child Protective Services stats, we received 243 reports, 166 was submitted, and 160 were closed. Unfounded,
were 105 cases. Indicated and closed were 32 cases. Indicated and transferred and open in family services were 12 cases. The percentage of closed cases that were overdue are 74%, which we are continuously working on that right now. We are almost done with the 2023 cases. Current number of open CPS reports effective October 31st was 926. Current number of overdue CPS reports effective 10/31/24. On your forms, it will say 576, but I have a more accurate number. As of today, it is 530. Number of CPS cases pending review. On your form, it will say 209, but I have an accurate number for today of 158 cases are pending review. The percentage of cases in review that are overdue effective October 31st were 82%. Any questions?
Who does the reviewing of those?
The reviewing is, we have our grade Bs. A supervisor is a quality assurance person. And we also have 2 part-timers who also goes through those cases with her. They review them to make sure that the New York State minimum standards have been met, and then we can close them. Any question? See, Child Protective Service staffing stats, vacancies, stage 3, but it should be less than that now because we do have 6 people in training. Staff on approved leave of absence is 1. Percentage of caseworkers in training unable to take reports is 12%. For the Services Division Family Service stats, total open cases in October 2024 was 288. Number of children in placement is 238. Total people being served in October 2024 was 1,166 people. Staffing stats for family services, vacancies, 3. Staff on approved leave. Sorry, I'm repeating the same thing again. So I'm going to cross that out. Let's see, Adult Protective Service stats. Total open cases as of October 2024, 56. Total receiving rep payee services as of October 2024, there's 438 clients. Total home care cases as of October 2024, that's 50. Any questions on that section? Staffing for adult protective, 0 vacancies, 0 staff on leave, and 0 percentage in training. Other service dates that we're working on in the services division, we are continuing to strive to build collaborations with all school districts in Oswego County. Our community services coordinator, Diane Godfrey, has been providing training for districts upon request. Meetings are held bi-weekly with principals from the Oswego City School District in an effort to increase communication. A meeting was held with some of the Oswego City School District resource officers, Oswego Police Department, Director Sarah Finley, CPS Grade B Supervisors Megan Rose and Kelly Horvath, and the multidisciplinary team senior caseworker Richard Balch to establish communication protocols during investigations. Any questions? Also, our CPS Grade B Supervisor Megan Rose and our multidisciplinary team senior caseworker Rich Balch provided training to the Oswego Police Department the week of 11/4 through 11/8 for approximately 1 hour per day. Effective communication, structure of DSS services unit, and a trauma-based approach to investigations were the topics that were discussed during that week. The CPS unit has started the case closing procedure. The case closing team officially started on 11/25. We are seeing some movement with that. We're currently on our 2nd week of the phase. And hopefully at the next meeting, we're going to have some great numbers to report to you guys. Closing updates. 6 new caseworkers, like I said earlier, have entered the workforce and started training. We have also paired the new caseworker with a mentor and assigned them a mentor. Any questions?
So this is the integrated services stats. I think a lot of these numbers are pretty straightforward. You can see that we've had some increases in areas Seasonal. Did anybody have questions about these steps? So I'll just move right to the vacancies. So we do have a social welfare examiner vacancy. We have, or a senior social worker welfare examiner, 8 social welfare examiner positions, 1 social services investigator, 1 employment specialist. The reclass
It
was
was approved.
requested.
Yeah, it was approved last month.
And then the community service workers, we have 6. Other integrated service updates, regular heat opened effective 11/1/2024. The warm temperatures has had a direct impact on incoming calls. In the month of October, our call center received 4,630 calls. 541 of them were for heat. In October, we assisted 3 households with car repairs, auto insurance, and/or tires to assist in maintaining employment. Any questions? Our DSS stats and updates by department. Paul Brady from NIPWA provided me an on-site training on 11/25 and 11/26. It was really informative. He's been around the block, so to speak, so he had a lot of good insight for us. He reviewed a lot of our statistics and numbers and our budget information before he came, so he did provide me with a lot of really good feedback for us and some suggestions about how we might be able to move forward. And Freddie was able to sit in on a portion of the training, so I think that was helpful too, to kind of discuss some of the ideas that we have about moving forward. So it was really good. Caseworker, social welfare examiner, employment specialist, investigator, senior caseworker, and senior social welfare examiner focus groups have been conducted. So this was a result of the staff survey that we completed. We decided to go ahead and move forward with doing some focus groups. So we'll be doing some more focus groups for December. We'll be doing principals, grade B supervisors, and support staff focus groups. So I have been working with the Ontario County's Commissioner on sharing organizational resources. From this, I keep talking about myself as the Commissioner, but Tiffany Dressel, this Dressel, thank you. But we are going to be doing, as a result of the focus groups, doing some management expectations 101 training for our team. I think as a result of the survey and the focus groups, I think we need a little bit more structure out at DSS, and I think that the survey really calls for that. So we're going to start doing some of these trainings. I think the focus groups also highlighted the need for consistent supervisory training. So that continuity is really important for people, so we're going to work on that. We have also been working with Liberty Resource. Freddie and I went, and Tiffany went to meet with their team to discuss this opportunity that we have with Brief Strategic Family Therapy Program. It's a pilot program right now, so it's free to our community members. And they are helping us and working with us to get referrals so that we could potentially enter into a contract to have this service provided here in Oswego County. So we are looking at increasing the referrals, because right now this is a no cost to our county, so we want to be able to get as many people involved in this program. Recently, Freddie did a sit down with the team, and we were able to make a total of how many referrals?
We did 22 referrals in 2.5 hours, and we're scheduled to meet again on December 24th, hopefully to get in about 30 more referrals.
We will be meeting with the probation department and Delbert Guile to discuss supervision and treatment services for the juvenile program and functional family therapy, along with ways to utilize PIMS and other preventative services in an effort to limit home removal. So we are looking at that service as a result of visiting and doing a visit to Chemung County. They provided us some insights about our removal process. So we're going to go ahead and move forward with some of the ideas that we got there. We also met with the family court judges and their law clerks to discuss trends and pressure points as it relates to child welfare. Judge Nelson has offered to host on-site trainings for caseworkers at DSS so that they are better prepared for court appearances and requirements. This is something that had been previously done before, but for some reason it kind of phased out. So we really want to reintroduce that to give new caseworkers the opportunity to go to court and kind of see what's expected of them. And we have also, our administrative assistant has been conducting trainings with the senior accountant, Jessica Prime, who's going to be assuming the role of contracts coordinator effective 12/1/2024. Let's see, any questions? We've been busy.
The answering service, is that up and running yet? The phone system?
We're still having issues with the phone system. That seems to be just an issue that has not yet been resolved, but other parts of it have been utilized and implemented, and we haven't had any issues.
The internal pieces are working. Our external provider is where our problems are. And Greg Pollen is continuing to work with them on that.
So is that on their end of fixing it?
Yes. They can't find a way to get it to connect when it's alive, but we're not really sure why our county is struggling so much. Other counties have been able to get the live piece up and running.
Do you know, as Greg indicated, whether it's our physical infrastructure or is it the provider?
The provider, he's working with them, and Greg has now been looped in because our vendor was trying to work with the provider, and we have brought Greg in, so he has been trying to navigate that to get it resolved.
Any other questions?
Okay, so we have the DSS stats and updates by department. The fiscal services eligibility staffing as of 10/29/24. We have one position, no vacancies for the director. Senior accountant, one position, no vacancies. Accounting supervisor, grade B, 2 position, no vacancies. Principal account clerk, 2 positions with 1 vacancy. Senior account clerk, 4 position, no vacancies. Account clerk, 2 positions, 1 vacancy. Account clerk part-time, 2 positions, 1 vacancy. And there was a vacant position deleted for the 2025 budget. Same as for the typist, 1 position, 1 vacancy, and a vacancy position deleted in the 2025 budget. For the services eligibility unit, principal social welfare examiner, 1 position, 1 on FMLA. Senior social welfare examiner, 1 position, 0 vacancies. Social welfare examiner, 3 positions, 0 vacancies. And the community service worker, 1 position, 1 vacancy. Percentage of team vacant, 23.3%, 5 out of 21 positions, and 14%, 3 out of 21 positions, after 2 positions being deleted. A fiscal accounting collections data, overpayment referrals received for public assistance, 24 referrals, total overpayment amount $18,346.90. SNAP, 5 referrals received, total overpayment amount $11,506. Recoupments received, public assistance, family assistance, 54 cases, $2,716.42 with 0 local share. Public assistance safety net, 69 cases, $2,634.72. Local share of $1,870.65. SNAP IPV, 2 number of cases, $39, no local share. IHE, 55 cases, $2,269, no local share. AE, SNAP, 52 cases, $1,905, no local share. So the total is 232 cases, $9,564, and 1,870 for the local share. SNAP cash collections, I'm just going to move to total 499 and 86 with a local share of $155.47. Fiscal accounting claims reimbursement status. So we're identifying this information because we're behind with the claiming. So in an effort to be transparent about where we're sitting with that and what we're doing, we've identified the claims, where we're at, and then our action plan for the backlog. So deadlines have been set to have all 2024 claims submitted by 1/15/2025, so that all 2024 claim reconciliations can be completed by 1/20/2025, and that will be with Lori monitoring this. Any questions?
For anybody on DFS? Go ahead, Luke.
If you have a case and you refer it to the sheriff department, if you can't handle it, how long do you wait before you get a, is there a time? You send something to the sheriff department, you don't hear nothing. Is there anybody going to do a follow up and find out what's going on?
Well, I think for the specific cases that you contacted me about, I requested, after you called me, reached out to Don with regards to doing a well check. I think that if there was an issue or a problem, they would have made a call, placed a call, or would have returned a call. So my best guess is that there wasn't any issues identified with the situation that was reported.
I mean, you're guessing that, but you don't know for sure.
I don't know for sure. I placed calls out there. I haven't had a return call. It's typically not something my department would manage. It's not a DSS issue unless somebody calls in a call to a hotline on an adult protective case, which wasn't what happened. So out of courtesy, I contacted Don Hilton's office to do the well check, just to make sure that, the person that was in that residency was okay. So I have to assume, it is an assumption, that if there was a problem there, he would have contacted me or placed a call, which would be on their onus to do that. Sarah, you can add on if you feel like I'm missing something.
No, I think you're right. Okay, absolutely right. They would contact us if we needed to do any further action.
All right, anything further? Else ever?
Seems like you should be better communication, not guessing. As far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, all the way around. I'll look for the appropriate motion.
Make a motion.
Motion to adjourn, second, all those in favor? All right, thanks, everybody.
Give,